Chapter 21 When Tingguang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just when the moon spirit flower was within reach, a wisp of strong wind came from behind. Ling Feng quickly turned sideways to avoid it, only to realize that the energy just now was not directed at him, but turned into an absorbing force, which actually absorbed the moon spirit flower. Who? Ling Feng's eyelids twitched and he felt anxious. When he looked back, he saw an old man wearing a green robe and a goatee, floating quietly behind him. Judging from his clothes, he didn't seem to be a member of the Wenxian sect. May I ask who the senior is and why he wants to snatch my moon spirit flower? Ling Feng frowned and gritted his teeth. What do you mean by your moon spirit flower? It's a treasure from heaven and earth. It's first come first served. The old man in green robe narrowed his eyes and smiled. I just don't want to be said that I'm bullying you, so I plan to compensate you. A few crystal coins or something. The green-robed old man took out a bulging bag from a spiritual ring in his hand and threw it into Ling Feng's hand. Boy, take it, the crystal coins in it are enough to buy 2 moon spirit flowers. This old man has some uses, so I can't give it to you. After saying that, the old man in green robe flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. Senior, wait, Ling Feng quickly called out to the old man in green robe. Although the crystal coins were good, Duanmu Qingshan's condition could not be delayed. His hidden injuries have eroded into his internal organs. 1 more month of delay will be 1 more month of risk, and it may even affect his entire treatment plan, not to mention that Duanmu Qingshan was his master. Even if it was a random patient, Ling Feng couldn't just watch the magical medicine that could cure the disease slip away under his nose. What, you still think it's too little? The old man in green robe had a particularly good temper, and he was not angry. He just said calmly, I said, this moon spirit flower, I have other uses. Although it does seem to be bullying the small, but the crystal coins have been compensated. What else do you want to do? Do you really think that I have no temper? No, of course I don't mean this, Junior. Ling Feng shook his head quickly. Senior, if this moon spirit flower is related to the life of a relative of this junior, do you think I should give up this junior because of a bag of crystal coins? The life of a loved one? Well. The old man in green robe said with a wisp of beard, logically speaking, it shouldn't be done. That's right. Since the senior understands the difficulties of the junior, he shouldn't let the junior become such an unfaithful and unfilial person. Ling Feng returned the original bag of crystal coins and said in a deep voice, Senior, all I need is the moon spirit flower. Even if the seniors place gold and silver in front of my eyes, I will still say the same thing. You boy, you still have some filial piety. The old man in green robe nodded, actually handed the moon spirit flower back to Ling Feng, curled his lips and said, that's all. Anyway, the effect that the moon spirit flower can have, that's better than nothing. I think you are a pretty boy, so I'll give you this flower back. Thank you, senior. Ling Feng bowed to the old man, expressing his gratitude. No need. The old man curled his lips and muttered in a low voice, it's really bad luck to go all the way in vain. After that, he turned around and left. Senior, wait a minute. Ling Feng stopped him again. Damn it, you guys are not done yet. The old man in green robe rolled his eyes and said impatiently. Ling Feng waved his hand and gritted his teeth and said, I don't have anything else, except that senior is willing to return the moon spirit flower. I should repay the favor and repay senior a little. Senior just said that you also need the moon spirit flower. As far as I know, moon spirit flower is generally used as an atomizer for elixirs, or to suppress internal poisons. The junior also knows a lot of elixirs that can replace the moon spirit flower. With the financial resources of the seniors, they should be able to buy them at the merchants. Oh. The old man's eyelids twitched slightly, but he glanced at Ling Feng. Are you still proficient in medicine? I know a little bit about it. Ling Feng said with a modest smile. No. The old man stared at Ling Feng, touched his chin, and laughed, my dear. I really didn't expect it. In this small Wenxian sect, there is still such a tall person like you hidden. People not, Ling Feng's forehead darkened, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly as he said, "Senior, you are so complimentary. I never give false compliments." The old man patted Ling Feng on the shoulder and grinned, "Even us, ahem, the Taoist doctors around my master don't know any elixir that can replace the moon spirit flower. The effects of this, and you actually know several of them. Your medical skills are absolutely extraordinary." Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose. "So, senior, do you need any help from me? There is indeed something that I can ask you to try." The old man in green robe narrowed his eyes and said calmly, "I am Tingguang, boy, what is your name?" "Junior, Ling Feng." "Ling Feng, right?" Tingguang stroked his long beard and said slowly, "Boy, I still have some things to do at the moment, but I will be back in 2 months. I hope you can come with me then. Go and treat a big shot for me." "Big shot?" Ling Feng's eyelids twitched, and he secretly thought that after 2 months, Duanwu Qingshan's injury should be almost healed, so it would be okay to go with this old man. "Okay, Junior, just agree." Ling Feng nodded and replied. "Okay, you boy is really brave. You didn't even ask me where I wanted to take you, and you dared to agree. If it's a dragon's pond and a tiger's den, will you also accompany me?" Tingguang narrowed his eyes and smiled slightly. Smiled. "Since this junior has agreed, I won't even frown in the dragon's pond and tiger's den, in the mountains of swords and the sea of fire." Ling Feng said with a solemn expression. "Good, very good." Tingguang laughed loudly. "When is gone, little guy, you can take care of yourself." After saying that, Tingguang's figure flashed, like a rock spreading its wings, and his body rose into the sky. After several ups and downs, he rose into the clouds and disappeared before Ling Feng's eyes. Call. It wasn't until Tingguang's figure completely disappeared from the distant sky that Ling Feng let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this Tingguang was not a vicious person. Otherwise, with his strength, he would only be able to kill him. Between hands. There are so many powerful people in this world. For a small person like Wenxian's sect, his vision is still too low. Ling Feng narrowed his eyes, grabbed the moon spirit flower in his hand, and flew away in the direction of Xiaozhu Peak without any further delay. Please collect, please vote. Chapter 22. The killer move is successful and Xiao Qingfeng is defeated. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, Ling Feng returned to the bamboo house in Xiaozhu Peak, with Yu Linghua suppressing the sword energy in Duanwu Qingshan's Dantian, and Ling Feng's Taixian acupuncture technique. Duanwu Qingshan's condition was finally stabilized after half a night's work. Ling Feng did not expect that the sword energy of the former head of Wenxian's sect would be so terrifying, so he made miscalculations again and again. This is not to say that Ling Feng's medical skills are not good. He really has not been exposed to that level and does not understand the changes at all. Therefore, if Taoist doctors want to cure diseases and save people, medical skills alone are far from enough. After helping Duanwu Qingshan back to his room to rest, Ling Feng finally had some free time, returned to his room, opened his human eye, and continued to practice. After being promoted to the 4th level of Qi condensation, the time it took for the first human divine pattern to condense increased by about 3 breaths, from the original 30 breaths to 33 breaths. Although it is only 3 short breaths, it is already comparable to the effect of 3 days of hard training without opening the human eye. 1 night passed quickly. As usual, Ling Feng collected chalcedony flower dewdrops for Duanwu Qingshan, and then went to the back mountain to practice martial arts, shattering star sword technique, 50 times. Swift light step, 50 times. The first 8 postures of the 9-layer Zhenhai fist, 50 times. After doing all this, Ling Feng began to understand the 9th form of the 9 levels Zhenhai fist. The 9th form of Zhezhong Hai Zhenxuan is called Jiaolong Zhen Kanghai. On the first day, Ling Feng realized the 3-point charm and was not in a hurry to practice. On the 3rd day, Ling Feng understood the essence and began to practice swinging his sword. The 7th day is today. Ling Feng sat on the cliff and suddenly opened his eyes. The dragon controls the sea. Ling Feng roared. His body like a tiger, jumped up, waved his fists, and moved his energy in all directions. with a snap of his fingers, he centered on himself and turned his legs vertically and horizontally. His whole body soared into the air like a dragon, and terrifying energy burst out from his whole body, swish, swish, swish. Gang Chi rolled up, and a series of cyan fists became 7 inches longer, like the waning moon tearing open the void, and shot out. The speed was so fast that in the blink of an eye, it had already shot out 100 steps away. Bang bang bang. The fist force blasted into the hard mountain rocks, and 7 or 8 fist edges condensed at one point, bombarding again and again, causing gravel to fly. The edge of the fist dissipated, leaving 8 cracks more than 7 inches deep, like a beast's claws attacking with astonishing power. You must know that Ling Feng is only at the 4th level of Qi condensation. He can punch out with such power from 100 steps away, which is almost unparalleled. Finally, I've mastered it. Ling Feng exhaled and felt a little weak all over his body. It seems that if a killer move like Dragon suppresses the sea can be used at most 2 or 3 times with my current level of true energy cultivation, all the true energy will be consumed. There are only 2 days left before the 10-day appointment with the inner genius. Ling Feng straightened his body and stared at the sea of clouds in front of him, feeling a sense of pride in his heart. The eye of the emperor turns yourself into a martial arts wizard. I can't waste such a talent. I not only want to become a strong man, but I also want to regain my grandfather's medical scriptures and revive the majesty of the medical saint Ling Hanyang's lineage. 2 days later, the stage of life and death. This is the place where Ling Feng and Xiao Qingfeng had a life and death battle. Before Ling Feng and Xiao Qingfeng arrived, many inner disciples had gathered around them, and even some deacons and stewards took time out of their busy schedules to come and observe. Needless to say, Xiao Qingfeng has been the favored son of heaven and the genius among geniuses since he joined the inner sect. And Ling Feng doesn't seem to be a simple person. He who joined the Xianxia lineage and stayed in the inner sect for such a long time has already set a record. Finally, from the direction of Shaozhu Peak, a lonely figure walked slowly with a long sword on his waist. It was Ling Feng. In the past 10 days, except for the night of picking moon spirit flowers, he had not set foot outside Shaozhu Peak. Then Ling Feng is here. Humph, this kid hasn't shown up for the past 10 days. He must be hiding and studying boxing skills. This naive guy thinks he can defeat senior brother Xiao. I don't think he can do anything. What kind of person is senior brother Xiao? Who is he? He's just a piece of trash that was thrown into Shaozhu Peak. All the disciples were talking about it. Finally, in the eyes of everyone who was looking forward to it, Xiao Qingfeng, aloof, cold and arrogant, appeared in the finale. His aura was like a peerless magic weapon unsheathed, sharp and sharp, as if a gust of wind was blowing. Xiao Qingfeng's aloof and arrogant figure fell from the sky. This pomp and momentum completely overwhelmed more than a dozen streets in Ling Feng. It's senior brother Xiao. Wow, senior brother Xiao is really handsome. This is a bet without any suspense. Senior brother Xiao is sure to win. Ignoring anyone's gossip, Ling Feng took a step forward, with only Xiao Qingfeng in his eyes. You're here. You actually dare to come. A sneer appeared on Xiao Qingfeng's lips. It seems that you can't wait to die by my sword. Stop talking nonsense and let's do it. Ling Feng looked calm and calm. You are so brazen, you should strike first, otherwise you won't have any chance. A trace of anger flashed in Xiao Qingfeng's eyes. Is a mere Ling Feng worthy of talking to him with this kind of attitude? Okay, you said it yourself. Ling Feng smiled faintly, stepped forward with his feet, and approached Xiao Qingfeng with his swift light step. Take my punch. Ling Feng's inner energy surged, he crossed his feet, stepped on the ground, and rose into the sky like a dragon. This is the starting move of Jiaolong Zhenkanghai. Xiao Qingfeng's expression changed slightly. He once borrowed the boxing manual of 9 layers of Xizhenhai fist, but he couldn't complete it in a month. Recently, he had new insights, so he wanted to borrow it again, and Ling Feng, in just 10 days, actually understood this boxing manual. However, even if he succeeds in understanding, so what? This Ling Feng was only at the 4th level of Qi condensation, and could exert some of the power of this boxing technique. However, The next time, Xiao Qingfeng realized his mistake, and it was very wrong. Fist strength surged around Ling Feng, and green fists burst out. The violent power shocked Xiao Qingfeng. Impossible. Deshang, his ultimate move has been perfected. Xiao Qingfeng trembled in his heart and quickly retreated. Unfortunately, he had missed the best opportunity to dodge. The power of the fist has entered the dragon suppression and is about to cross the sea. Even if Xiao Qingfeng's chi cultivation is better than Ling Feng's, he can't easily avoid it. Zhang, that the long sword was unsheathed. Xiao Qingfeng drew out the 3-foot green-edged sword behind him, swung the sword away, and severely split Ling Feng's fist, and he kicked back a few steps. For a moment, Xiao Qingfeng's complexion turned completely dark like the bottom of a pot. Please collect, please vote. Chapter 23, Killing People to Show Off Their Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ling Feng defeated senior brother Xiao. Oh my god, is Ling Feng's understanding even more evil than that of senior brother Xiao? Xiao Qingfeng's face felt hot and he stared at Ling Feng fiercely, anger surging in his chest. Why, you feel so angry because you lost at the hands of a little ant like me? Ling Feng met Xiao Qingfeng's cold and malicious gaze and said calmly, does a person like you deserve to be called a genius? Ling Feng. Xiao Qingfeng clenched his fist tightly, almost crushing it with his steel teeth. Who do you think you are? Why are you pointing fingers at me, Xiao Qingfeng? I was just careless and let you take advantage. Next, I will beat you to death. Still want to come? Ling Feng's eyes had a hint of coldness and arrogance, and he stretched out a finger and waved it in front of his eyes. Are you worthy? Hiss. As soon as these words came out, the disciples around him took a deep breath. Ling Feng is really brave. Even if he has mastered the 9 levels Shanhai Fist, who is Xiao Qingfeng? The 8th level of Qi Condensation. He was only at the 4th level of Qi Condensation, but he still wanted to go against the grain. You are looking for death. Xiao Qingfeng had never been humiliated like this before. With a swing of his sword, he flew towards Ling Feng like a hungry tiger pouncing on food. A handsome face, turned ferocious due to rage. Even though they were far apart, many onlookers still retreated for fear of being affected by this furious tiger. Ling Feng looked calm and stood calmly. He can take out the leader's Jade Order, and with the protection of Duanwu Qingshan, a mere Xiao Qingfeng, what does it mean? However, during this period of time, he not only practiced the 9 layers of sea-suppressing fist, he also became proficient in the Shattering Star Sword technique. With this swordsmanship, his strength may not be inferior to Xiao Qingfeng. Zhang, that the long sword was unsheathed, and Ling Feng's clear eyes reflected Xiao Qingfeng's ferocious appearance. The cyan figure rushed towards his face, making it suffocating. It's too late to say it, but it's soon. The sword in Xiao Qingfeng's hand seemed to turn into the devil's palm. It was so powerful that it jumped in the air and slashed down hard, with the power to split Huashan Mountain. This sword is Xiao Qingfeng's sword of fame. Xiao Qingfeng became famous in the inner sect with his domineering and fierce swordsmanship. It's senior brother Zhao's most powerful killing sword, and the tiger comes down the mountain. What a terrifying sword energy. Does Ling Feng actually want to fight it head-on? He's dead, he's absolutely dead. Ling Feng's expression remained unchanged, but he was secretly angry. This sword was thrown out with all its strength, leaving no room for error. It seems that it wants to kill me. Since the other party has murderous intentions, he will not show mercy. Die. Ling Feng's eyes flashed with a cold light, and the first divine pattern of the heavenly eyes opened, and he had completely seen through Xiao Qingfeng's swordsmanship. In an instant, Ling Feng dodged sideways, and then drew his sword back, grazing Xiao Qingfeng's sword blade. A concussive force neutralized the fierceness of Xiao Qingfeng's sword move. Sparks flew, and with just one move, Xiao Qingfeng was killed. With one sword, it was completely resolved, and it also completely disrupted Xiao Qingfeng's pace. It's my turn. With the ability of Tian Daowai, Ling Feng knew Xiao Qingfeng's sword moves and footwork very well, and any of his weaknesses were completely exposed. The swift light step was pushed to the extreme, and Ling Feng's sword was constantly changing and dreamy, like a prophet who knew the unknown. No matter where Xiao Qingfeng flashed, his sword edge would definitely be waiting for it right now, leaving Xiao Qingfeng in a panic. He obviously has a level of qi cultivation that far exceeds that of Ling Feng, but he is restrained and unable to take advantage of his qi. How is this possible? That Ling Feng's swordsmanship is actually better than senior brother Xiao. No way, I'm definitely dazzled. That the disciples and deacons who were watching the battle were all dumbfounded, and the words impossible were all lingering in their minds. Kill. Xiao Qingfeng, who was disrupted by Ling Feng, was even more furious. He jumped into a rage and slashed wildly with the long sword in his hand, trying to kill Ling Feng even though he was injured. Unfortunately, Xiao Qingfeng was too angry and lost his calm judgment. Attacking like this was undoubtedly digging his own grave. After a while, the Jinshi in Xiao Qingfeng's body was exhausted, but Ling Feng was still full of energy. With a step of his feet, he unfolded the shattering star sword technique and used a flying star from the sky to directly pierce Xiao Qingfeng's right arm. Clang! That the long sword in Xiao Qingfeng's hand fell to the ground, he covered his right wrist and howled crazily. My hand! My hand! For a swordsman, losing his right hand is equivalent to destroying his sword life. Ling Feng, you are so brave, you dare to cut off Qingfeng's tendons. Among the crowd, a deacon from the sect's lineage jumped out and stared at Ling Feng coldly. His voice sounded like it was coming from the nine nether hell, making people shudder. Destroy his hand tendons. Ling Feng didn't back down at all. He met the deacon's gaze and sneered, he wants to kill me, can't I fight back? I not only want to destroy him, I also want to kill him. After saying that, Ling Feng raised his sword and slashed it down in full view of everyone. Whoosh! A big good head rose into the sky, and Xiao Qingfeng's body was half kneeling on the ground. The blood on his neck surged up like a fountain, spraying out more than a foot high. The head rolled onto the ground and landed impartially at the feet of the deacon. The head's eyes were wide and round. Until the moment of death, he could not believe that Ling Feng actually dared to kill her. Ah! He really killed senior brother Xiao. That the surrounding disciples were trembling, and some female disciples even fainted from fright. In full view of everyone, in front of the main peak deacon, Ling Feng dared to kill people with his sword. His courage must be too great. Evil! You are seeking death. That the deacon was shaking with anger, and other stewards and deacons who had some status in the inner sect also stood up and surrounded Ling Feng. The crime of killing a fellow disciple was enough for them to capture Ling Feng on the spot and kill him without mercy. Who dares to touch a hair on my head? Facing such a battle, Ling Feng still showed no fear at all. He took out the leader's jade order from his arms and said, open your eyes wide and see, what is this? As soon as the leader's jade order came out, the deacons remembered that not long ago, even the elders who guarded the pavilion suffered a big loss under this leader's jade order. How could they, the little deacons, punish Ling Feng? Get out of my way. Ling Feng held up the leader's jade order, whoever dares to stand in front of me will die. For a moment, all the deacons and stewards lowered their heads silently. No matter how unconvinced they were, they could only step aside silently, not daring to block Ling Feng's way, rolling, asking for collection, asking for votes. Chapter 24 The Leader's Invitation. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Humph, a bunch of rats. Ling Feng felt secretly happy in his heart. There was a difference between having a backer and not having a backer. If Duanwu Qingshan hadn't given him the jade order of the leader today, even if he defeated Xiao Qingfeng, he wouldn't dare to kill him. Even if he is crippled, his life may be in danger. Under everyone's jealous and fearful gazes, Ling Feng turned around and strode towards Xiaozhu Peak. If he kills a genius from the Wenxian sect, it won't be long before word reaches the leader's ears. Even with this jade order from the head, Ling Feng couldn't guarantee whether he would be able to protect himself. Only staying by Duanwu Qingshan's side is the safest. At this moment, a figure suddenly flew down from behind. It was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe, with a slender figure, a mustache, and green bean eyes. He was none other than the elder who assigned Ling Feng to Xiaozhu Peak. Li Liang saw Ling Feng slash Xiao Qingfeng from a distance, but unfortunately he was a step too late. When he arrived, Xiao Qingfeng's head was already on the ground. However, Xiao Qingfeng was not his disciple anyway. He was just a little surprised, but not very angry. Elderly, that the surrounding disciples and deacons all bowed and saluted. Li Liang's status in the inner sect was second only to the headmaster and the masters of various peaks, so naturally he could not be neglected. Ling Feng, please stay. Li Liang ignored the others and slowly walked towards Ling Feng, his voice gentle and his face smiling. However, people who are familiar with him know that this person has always hidden a knife behind his smile, and he is the most scheming among the Wenxian sect. Ling Feng stopped, looked back, and found that the person coming was Li Liang. He was slightly surprised. Why was he looking for him? Huh, Ling Feng, do you still remember me? Li Liang had a smile on his face, as if he couldn't see that Ling Feng had just killed Xiao Qingfeng, but was as gentle as treating his nephew. I don't remember. Ling Feng was not interested and entangled with him, snorted softly, turned around and left. Li Liang's smile froze slightly, and there was a hint of sinisterness in his eyes, but he hid it well. Ha ha ha, you have character. All geniuses have pride. I was wrong that day. Li Liang quickly walked to Ling Feng's side with a broad smile on his face. Ling Feng curled his lips and said, if you have something to say, just say it directly. There's no need to beat around the bush. Li Liang said with a smile, the master heard about your matter, and he scolded me and Master Yang Wei Yang, and even said that he would personally receive you. No, I am here this time to convey a message to the master. Oral message. I wonder if it would be convenient for you to go to Luxian main peak today. The master wants to see me. Ling Feng frowned slightly. It would be a great honor for ordinary disciples to be received by the master, but he was Duanwu Qingshan's disciple, and Duanwu Qingshan killed his master. He and the leader are absolute enemies. Don't worry, the leader is definitely not here to settle scores with you. On the contrary, he admires you very much. A genius like you will definitely get the attention of the leader. Li Liang said with a smile, think about it, as a disciple of Wenxian sect, you don't want to guard Duanwu Qingshan all the time and be isolated by the entire sect, right? As long as the leader accepts you, everyone in the sect will. They are all your good seniors, as well as the elders of the sect, and they will be your good seniors. With your talent, it may not be impossible for you to become the leader after 100 years. Li Liang's blows were so exciting that the disciples around him were stunned. Wow, I'm so envious. If I had this opportunity, I would be willing to live less than 30 years. Is it possible that Ling Feng wants the carp to jump over the dragon's gate? What Ling Feng? You want to call me senior brother Ling? Li Liang looked at Ling Feng with a smile on his face and said with a smile, how about, come with me to meet the leader? Ling Feng raised his eyebrows and said calmly, what if I don't go? Aren't you going? Li Liang's face stiffened, you are a smart man, you should have heard that good birds choose trees to roost in, right? Ha ha ha. Ling Feng laughed, this is not a difficult choice. That's right, normal people know how to choose. Li Liang also laughed, let's go, follow me to meet the leader, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose and said, elderly, please lead the way. That if you don't enter the tiger's den, how can you catch the tiger's cubs? Ling Feng wanted to see what the head of the Wenxian sect had in mind. The main peak of Luxian is located at the core of Jiuxian Mountain. It is also the place with the richest aura of heaven and earth in Wenxian sect. Under the leadership of Li Liang, it didn't take long for the two of them to arrive in front of an extremely magnificent hall. When the disciples on guard saw Li Liang, they all bowed and saluted. This is the Nine Spirits Hall. How many people want to meet the master on weekdays, but they may not get the chance after waiting for decades. You are the first disciple who can meet the master within less than a year after joining. Li Liang said as he led Ling Feng into the main hall. The solemn hall seemed very empty at the moment. There was a man in blue robe in the middle, standing with his hands behind his back to the door. See the leader. Li Liang bowed to Lin Sanlang and called out loudly. Lin Sanlang then turned around, looked at Ling Feng with piercing eyes, and suddenly asked, did you kill Xiao Qingfeng? Ling Feng didn't have many surprises in his heart. As the leader of a sect, he naturally had great eyes and hands. This bit of news could not be hidden from the ears of the leader. It's me. Ling Feng met Lin Sanglang's gaze, neither humble nor overbearing. Did you know that I once had the idea of accepting Xiao Qingfeng as my true disciple? Ling Feng curled his lips and said calmly, in other words, I killed the disciple you had chosen in your mind, master, and you want to kill me to vent your anger? Then you still dare to come? Lin Sanglang's aura swept over him, like an ancient sacred mountain, suppressing him, making Ling Feng almost breathless. The leader wants to kill me, there are 10,000 ways. I can escape today, but I won't be able to escape in the future, so why not come? Ling Feng gritted his teeth, feeling a little regretful in his heart. At this moment, he couldn't move a finger. He didn't even have a chance to take out the leader's jade order. Ha ha ha. The terrifying momentum receded like a tide in an instant, and Lin Sanglang laughed, if you are brave, do you know that I think you are better than Xiao Qingfeng and are qualified to become the leader of this sect? 3 true disciples. Ling Feng raised his sword eyebrows. The leader of the Wenxian sect was indeed no ordinary person, a slap in the face and a piece of candy was really a good trick. Thanks to the great love of the master, I am honored to be my disciple. Ling Feng pretended to be flattered and said. However, you are Duanmu Qingshan's disciple now. Do you know the relationship between Duanmu Qingshan and this leader? I know a little bit, but not very clearly. It's enough to know something. Lin Sanglang turned around and strode to his sect leader's throne, slowly sat down, stared at Ling Feng, and said slowly, now, I still want you to make a decision. A choice, Duanmu Qingshan and this leader, what will you choose? Please beg for votes and collection. Chapter 25 Golden Silkworm Poison. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What will you choose? Lin Sanglang stared at Ling Feng without blinking, and his majestic momentum was slightly released, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Li Liang on the side laughed and said, Ling Feng, do you still need to choose? Duanmu Qingshan is just a lonely person. If you stand with us, you will get the support of a sect. The corner of Ling Feng's mouth curled up. These conditions were indeed very tempting, but they were straight to the heart and asked himself, he would not betray his master. So, what does the leader want me to do? Ling Feng asked a question instead of answering directly. You are a smart man. Lin Sanglang obviously misunderstood Ling Feng's meaning, a smile flashed in his eyes, you don't need to do anything, just return to Duanmu Qingshan, when he has passed on all his secret knowledge to when you do, you can come back to me and become my true disciple. Ling Feng felt a bit of disdain in his heart. The dignified leader of a sect actually used this method to defraud Duanmu Qingshan's sword manual, he truly deserves to be the good leader of Wenxian sect. I probably know what needs to be done. Ling Feng said calmly, expressionless, can you allow me to think about it for a few days? No. Lin Sanglang's eyes were menacing. Now that you know this, either agree to it or die here. Lin Sanglang's voice was extremely cold, don't think that you can take out the leader's jade order if you have a chance. This leader has long expected Duanmu Qingshan at this time, the mountain protection formation of Wenxian's main peak has been modified by the leader, and the effect of the leader's jade order cannot cover the main peak. Old fox, you did a great job. Ling Feng cursed in his heart, but his face remained calm, it seems I have no choice. No, you have a choice between life and death. Lin Sanglang smiled coldly, now, how do you choose? I don't want to die. Ling Feng took a deep breath and said slowly. Very good, you are indeed a smart man. Lin Sanglang stretched out his hand and a brown pill fell into Ling Feng's hand, this is golden silkworm poison. If you swallow it, I can completely trust you. Golden silkworm poison, Ling Feng's expression changed slightly. He knew that as long as he took the golden silkworm poison, every once in a while, the poison would bite the heart and cause heartbreaking pain, making it impossible for people to live or die. Keep taking it. As long as you obey my orders, I will give you the antidote every month. When you get Duanmu Qingshan's Moving Flowers and Burying Jade Sword Manual, give it to me, I will give you the antidote. I will remove all the poison for you. By then, you will be the third true disciple of this sect, and you will more likely be the next sect leader of Wenxian's sect in the future. Ling Feng shrugged and swallowed the golden silkworm poison without much hesitation. This time Lin Sanglong was destined to lose the game by just one move. Although the poison of golden silkworm goo is powerful, it cannot stop Ling Feng, the successor of the medical saint. A mere poisonous goo is just a piece of cake for Ling Feng. Taking the golden silkworm poison and ostensibly surrendering to the leader can be regarded as a delaying strategy. At least for a short period of time, there is no need to worry about Lin Sanglong and the others causing trouble for him, after he has completely cured Duanmu Qingshan, and one day Duanmu Qingshan breaks out of the formation, that will be the day the old fox dies. Okay. Very good. Lin Sanglong stood up from his seat. You really did not disappoint me. Good birds choose trees to roost in. Didn't the master say that I am a smart man? Ling Feng said with a faint smile. Well, starting from today, you will be treated like a true disciple. Anyway, Duanmu Qingshan is trapped in Xiaozhu Peak. How you act in front of him is your business. You only need to deceive Duanmu Qingshan's trust. When you reach the level of cohesion, when you are in the pulse realm, he should pass on that set of swordsmanship to you. As he spoke, Lin Sanglong took out 4 or 5 white jade porcelain bottles and said slowly, these are qi-enhancing pills that only true disciples are eligible to take. Take them back and take 1 pill every day. I believe you can be promoted within half a year. Pulse Condensation Realm. Thank you, Master. Ling Feng took the porcelain bottle and was secretly happy. Naturally, he would not refuse such a good thing. Okay, you can go back. You should know whose hands your life is in. In front of Duanmu Qingshan, you don't know what to say and what not to say, right? Lin Sanglong was tall and handsome, right? His eyes were fixed on Ling Feng, as if he wanted to see through Ling Feng to his very soul. I know. Ling Feng harvested the elixir and immediately turned around and walked out of the hall, flying towards Xiaozhu Peak. Watching Ling Feng gradually go away, Li Liang said, Master, can you trust this kid? Every bustle in the world is for the sake of coming, and the bustling world is for the sake of going away. Lin Sanglong stood with his hands behind his back, a confident smile on his face. He's just a young boy. I promise him a chance to become the leader. How can he not be tempted? What's more, the golden silkworm poison is something that can kill him at any time. The poison will take effect in a while. If he dares to betray me after experiencing the feeling of life being worse than death, then he has the guts. Brilliant, the head brother is really brilliant. Li Liang laughed and gave Lin Sanglong a thumbs up. Okay, go and put Xiao Qingfeng's body in place. A chill flashed in Lin Sanglong's eyes. In fact, Xiao Qingfeng was one of his nephews. Ling Feng killed Xiao Qingfeng, and he had already had murderous intentions towards Ling Feng. After Ling Feng handed him the sword manual of moving flowers and burying jade sword and lost its use value, let alone becoming a true disciple, he would be the first to die. What a sinister leader of the Qixin sect. Ling Feng followed the mountain path down to Wenxian main peak and ran all the way. When he reached Luoxia slope, he couldn't help but curse inwardly. At this time, the golden silkworm poison in the body began to take effect. Even though Ling Feng had tasted all kinds of herbs since he was a child and had extremely high resistance to various toxins, he still twitched in pain for the first time. What a powerful poisonous poison! Ling Feng gritted his teeth and persisted until he walked to Xiaozhu Peak, then found a shade of a tree, sat cross-legged, took out the golden needle, and stabbed straight into his dantian, temporarily suppressing the golden silkworm poison. Then, Ling Feng's hand stopped shaking, and he dared to start applying acupuncture. With Taishan acupuncture, it was not difficult to get rid of the poisonous poison at all. After just half a quarter of an hour, the poisonous poison was completely gone and Ling Feng could no longer be threatened. Ha! Ling Feng slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. His face was slightly pale, but he felt proud in his heart and sneered, Lin Songlang, after all, you were tricked by me, Ling Feng. Thank you for your qi increasing pill. When I succeed in my cultivation, I will repay you well. After saying that, Ling Feng slowly stood up and walked slowly towards the bamboo building at Xiaozhu Peak. He needed to tell Duanmu Qingshan about today's matter as soon as possible. Please vote and collect. Chapter 26 Great Wilderness Mountains. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Ling Feng returned to the bamboo house, Duanmu Qingshan was adjusting his breath and meditating. After taking the moon spirit flower, the sword energy in his body had become more and more stable in the past few days. According to Ling Feng's estimation, within 2 months, his hidden injuries will be completely healed. Squeak! Ling Feng pushed open the bamboo door and bowed to Duanmu Qingshan, Master. Are you back? Duanmu Qingshan opened his eyes, immediately picked up the wine gourd and took a sip, then asked with a smile, how is it, did you defeat that Xiao Qingfeng? With the star-shattering sword technique that Master gave me, Xiao Qingfeng is no problem. Ling Feng sat on the chair next to Duanmu Qingshan and said solemnly, however, Lin Songlang has come to see me. Lin Songlang. A trace of hatred flashed in Duanmu Qingshan's eyes. What does he want from you? He wants to bribe me to betray you and steal your swordsmanship. Ling Feng didn't hide anything. He even took out the qi-enhancing pills and placed them on the table. Ha ha, you kid are not tempted. Duanmu Qingshan looked at Ling Feng with interest. I said, once a teacher, always a father. Ling Feng shook his head, but Lin Songlang didn't really trust me and made me take the golden silkworm poison. Oh, it seems that Lin Songlang is destined to fall into your trap. How would he know that your medical skills are 100 times better than mine, the miracle doctor of Duanmu? Duanmu Qingshan burst into laughter, and the golden silkworm poisoned himself. Although it may not be resolvable, it is not difficult at all for the successors of the medical saint. Only those who have truly experienced Tai Xian acupuncture will understand the power of this acupuncture technique. It can be described as coming back from the dead. Thank you, Master. Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose and said calmly, I used a delaying strategy to temporarily stabilize Lin Songlang, but this is not a long-term solution. Ling Feng's expression turned serious. I am confident that I will completely eradicate Master's sword energy from your body within 2 months. When Master returns to his peak state, will he be able to break out of the formation? Duanmu Qingshan smiled slightly. My strength has not advanced over the years, but has retreated, so I am trapped here and cannot leave. If my injury heals, my strength improves, and I can break out of the formation. What will be the difficulty? That when he said these words, Duanmu Qingshan's eyes flashed with an extremely confident look. This strong man who has been dormant for 10 years will finally emerge from the abyss. Jiuxian Mountain is located in the Xianzhong mountain range, covering thousands of miles of mountains and dense forests. In this area, there are beautiful bells and abundant spiritual energy. In addition to the Wenxian sect, there are naturally other martial arts sections. However, the Wenxian sect is the best among them, so it can occupy a treasured land like Jiuxian Mountain. In the mountain forest, a gray figure walked as fast as flying, nimbly and freely, shuttled through the dense forest without being hindered by the terrain at all, which showed that his physical skills were quite impressive. This person is none other than Ling Feng. After pretending to surrender to the leader, Ling Feng could at least move freely within Wenxian sect, and even went down the mountain to practice without any hindrance. Along the way to martial arts, naturally one cannot do things behind closed doors. Ling Feng rarely gained freedom, so on Duanmu Qingshan's suggestion, he went to the Dahuang Mountains east of Jiuxian Mountain to practice. Half a day later, Ling Feng had used the 9-level C suppressing fist to kill several ferocious beasts and obtained a lot of materials. Fighting ferocious beasts here is the best way to hone your martial arts skills and improve your strength. After the words fell, Ling Feng's figure trembled and he continued to go deeper into the dense forest ahead. At the same time, in the dense forest, 5 or 6 young men wearing the clothes of the inner disciples of the Wenxian sect were flying towards the entrance of the Dahuang Mountains. Senior brother Xiao, I heard that little bastard Ling Feng went to the great wilderness mountains for training. A red-haired boy who was walking at the front said back while leading the way. Humph, This little bastard dared to kill even my younger brother, Xiao Qingfeng. I don't know why the leader didn't kill him as a blood sacrifice to Qingfeng. There was a man in the middle, about 20 years old. His aura had reached the level of qi condensation. The pinnacle of the realm, the 10th level of qi condensation. Such a cultivation level can be called an airbender in a secular country and serve as the city lord of a city. For example, Su Shixiang, the lord of Kaiyang city whom Ling Feng frantically killed that day, was an airbender with the 10th level of qi condensation. It's hard for me to take action inside the sect, but if you seek your own death and dare to run out, then you can't blame me for being ruthless. Xiao Qingfeng's eyes flashed with incomparable resentment. Xiao Qingfeng was his brother, and he died tragically in Ling Feng's hands at a young age. If Ling Feng was not killed, how could he comfort Xiao Qingfeng's soul in heaven? Senior brother Xiao, if we sneak out to kill Ling Feng, if the leader finds out. One of the slightly fat disciples hesitated. What are you afraid of? The leader is my cousin. If anything happens, I will take care of it. Is it possible that the leader will punish me for an outsider? Xiao Qingfeng said, his speed a little faster. Damn, that bastard must have killed Qingfeng when Qingfeng was careless. How can we not avenge the murder of our brother? That's right, senior brother Xiao. If we take action together, even if Ling Feng has 3 heads and 6 arms, he will definitely die. The red-haired boy who led the way sneered. Another man with a thin body and sinister eyes also said coldly, yes, Qingfeng is the younger brother of senior brother Xiao, and that is the younger brother of us. If that boy dares to kill Qingfeng, he has all of us as enemies. Ling Feng, the great wilderness mountain range is your burial place. Xiao Qingfeng's face was grim, the strong wind ruffled his robe and black hair, fluttering wildly, but it couldn't blow away his determination to kill Ling Feng, rolling around to beg for votes. Chapter 27 Cooperation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ouch! Low and angry roars were heard one after another in the dense forest. Amidst the strong wind, more than a dozen demon wolves with sharp claws rushed up from different directions. Their sharp claws flashed with a cold light, as if they were about to tear apart the people in front of them. Among the wolves, a figure walked with mysterious steps, and his body was like a flowing cloud of light. No matter how ferociously those monster wolves pounced on him, they couldn't get a trace of his clothes. The expression on Ling Feng's face was calm and gentle. This is already Ling Feng's 3rd day in the Great Wilderness Mountains. During these 3 days, Ling Feng has experienced countless fights and has long been accustomed to the feeling of being besieged by monsters. The sharp-clawed monster wolf still belongs to the category of second-level monsters. It is not difficult to deal with it alone. But when encountering a pack of sharp-clawed monster wolves, even monks in the late stages of ordinary qi condensation realm would probably not dare to easily provoke them. Ling Feng perfectly combined the cloud-chasing step and the swift light step, almost creating a brand new movement technique. He fought with the wolves as if he were strolling in a garden, with a leisurely look on his face. Zhang, the sword light flashed, like a falling star, the stars were dotted, and with one sword strike, 3 sword energy burst out, and there were 3 demon wolves, whose hearts were pierced by the star-shattering sword energy, and they could no longer die. Eyesight, body skills, swordsmanship. When the 3 are melted into one furnace, an almost perfect swordsman is born. It's time to end the battle and go deeper into the Great Wilderness Mountains to experience. A ray of light flashed in Ling Feng's eyes. During these 3 days of fighting, Ling Feng's qi cultivation had once again broken through and reached the 5th level of qi condensation. No longer holding anything back, Ling Feng's sword power became overbearing and fierce. The star-shattering sword technique is the superior sword technique of the Wenxian sect. Generally, only the true disciples of the major peak masters are qualified to practice it. Without considerable understanding, even if you practice hard for 10 years, you may not be able to achieve anything. Star disillusionment kill. The sword energy surged, and the violent wind swept across all directions. The sky was filled with sword shadows, like stars falling to the ground, and the sword light was like a rainbow. The blood-colored pupils of the remaining demon wolves flashed with fear, and they screamed and whimpered. Almost in an instant, they all swept their tails, turned around and ran away, bang bang bang. However, the sword energy exploded at the moment when these demon wolves turned around. The sword energy penetrated the bodies of the demon wolves and penetrated their heads. One after another, the demon wolves fell into a pool of blood. In 3 days, my shattering star sword technique has broken through to another level. After the baptism of blood, whether you are drawing or sheathing your sword, you feel like you have returned to nature. Ling Feng looked at the demon wolf corpses everywhere and nodded with satisfaction. After quickly disposing of the body of the demon wolf and putting away all the valuable materials, Ling Feng unfolded his body skills and left the place. Not long after, Ling Feng walked to the edge of a gurgling stream, squatted down, and washed the blood off his body. At this time, a small team came up from behind. There were 5 people in total, 4 men and 1 woman. They were all around 20 years old, quite young. These 5 people were dressed in powerful attire, carrying long swords on their backs, and their steps were steady and powerful. It was obvious that they all had a solid foundation. When the 5 of them saw Ling Feng appearing here, they were not very curious. The Dahuang Mountains were the place where all martial arts sect disciples in the nearby area went to practice. It was easy to meet the sect disciples who came to practice with them. I, Wang Tong, am an inner disciple of the Tianyun sword sect of Tianhua Mountain. I wonder where your master comes from. That the leader is a man with a Chinese character face. He is the oldest among them all and has the most powerful aura. He looked at Ling Feng for a few times, then looked at the mysterious sword Zhan Yu behind Ling Feng, squeezed out a smile, and bowed to Ling Feng. I'm asking the disciples of the immortal sect, are you okay? Ling Feng jumped up from the stream, looked sideways at the 5 other people, and responded lightly. Wenxian sect. The man with the Chinese character's face twitched his eyelids slightly. Wenxian sect has a great reputation in the 7 southern counties of the Tianbai Empire, and its comprehensive strength is among the best in the Xianzhong Mountains. When he heard the name of Wenxian sect, these days, the disciples of the famous Tianyun sword sect were obviously a little moved. It turns out to be a Taoist brother from the Wenxian sect. Wang Tong laughed and said, we are worried that we don't have enough manpower to capture the strange fruits of the world. We didn't want to meet a Taoist brother here. God is really helping us. Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose and gave Wang Tong a strange look. Ah, that's it. Wang Tong looked honest and honest. He slapped his forehead and immediately explained, we found a natural treasure behind the hill on the right a few days ago. It's almost mature. But there is a cloud pattern hanging eye tiger guarding the side. That cloud pattern hanging eye tiger is not simple, it is a peak 2nd level monster, and its strength is stronger than the ordinary 10th level of Qi condensation. Even if the 5 of us work together, we may not be able to defeat the monster. Since you are a disciple of the Wenxian sect, you must be extremely powerful. I believe that with your help, we will definitely be able to successfully kill the eye-catching tiger with cloud patterns and seize the world. Fruit. Oh. A hint of amusement flashed in Ling Feng's eyes. After you get the heaven and earth fruit, how will you distribute it? Wang Tong immediately said, although there is only one heaven and earth strange fruit, the fruit and rhizome can be distributed, and the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger is also full of treasures. I have always admired the disciples of the Wenxian sect, so I will treat him as such. How about giving it to a friend and we will distribute the demon elixir to you? Is it the demon elixir for the 2nd level peak demon beast? Ling Feng nodded, okay. After all, the other party discovered the heaven and earth strange fruit first, and the 5 of them were the main fighting force. If the demon pill was really given to him, his trip would not be in vain. Okay, ha. Wang Tong grinned, happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. Ling Feng also smiled slightly, but secretly said in his heart, you'd better act according to the agreement, otherwise, you will bear the consequences. There is no free lunch in the world, and there is no way that just because you are a disciple of the Wenxian sect, you can give yourself a demon elixir from a second-level peak demon beast. Ling Feng didn't have much trust in these people, but he was willing to take a gamble because he was brave. Please follow me. Wang Tong said, quickly flying towards a mountain on the right. 6 figures were running quickly through the mountains and forests, stepping on dead branches and leaves, making a slight rustling sound. The wind swept them away and dissipated invisible. The cloud pattern eye-catching tiger is a second-level peak monster. Just with you and me, I'm afraid there won't be much chance of killing it, right? Ling Feng couldn't help but ask curiously as he flew by. One sentence. Don't worry, since we dare to have the idea of the strange fruit of heaven and earth, we are naturally well prepared. The person who answered was the woman in the team named Zhu Xiao. She looks quite delicate, and there is a sense of heroism between her eyebrows and eyes. It is worth mentioning that her figure is quite hot. Ling Feng nodded. It's good to be prepared. By the way, brother Ling Feng, since we want to cooperate, why don't you let us know your strength, so that you can integrate into our new team faster, don't you think? Wang Tong suddenly said with a smile. It makes sense. Ling Feng nodded. I major in swordsmanship. I can probably deal with 3 or 5 clawed monster wolves alone. The disciples of Wenxian's sect are really amazing. Wang Tonglang laughed and led everyone forward for a while, finally arriving at the destination of this trip. Please collect it, please vote. Chapter 28 This Idiot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Here we are, right here. Wang Tong lowered his voice, hunched over his waist, and led everyone to hide in a bush. Take it out. Wang Tong looked back at the thin man next to him and said in a deep voice. The thin man fumbled around for a while and took out a ball of yellowish-black stuff that was a little sticky, but it exuded a faint sweet smell. Immediately, the thin man was seen crawling all the way from the bushes, going around behind a big rock, using all his strength, and threw the sticky thing out. Then, a dong-dong-dong sound was heard that was almost like the earth shaking. It was obviously the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger guarding the heaven and earth strange fruits. That's a bait made by mixing the blood and honey of hundreds of different beasts. Hey, no matter how powerful the cloud-patterned tiger is, it's just a beast after all. Once stimulated by the smell of blood, it can't be controlled immediately. Myself. Wang Tong chuckled and said, and the bait we carefully prepared also contains enough anesthetic to knock down hundreds of cows. Even if a cloud-patterned tiger eats it, its hands and feet will be paralyzed for a while, and it will be unable to react. The city will become very sluggish. When the time comes, we will seize the opportunity to take action. The monsters and the strange fruits of heaven and earth will be in our possession. Only then did Ling Feng realize that under the influence of the anesthetic, the strength of the cloud-pattern eye-catching tiger was greatly reduced, so they dared to take advantage of it. As for why poison is not used, it should be that most monsters like this have a keen sense of smell. If they smell the smell of poison, they probably won't be fooled. Soon, I heard a loud bang, which was the sound of the monster falling to the ground. We succeeded. Wang Tong laughed and jumped out from the bushes first. Everyone, let's take action. While this beast is still paralyzed, we must kill it. After the words fell, the disciples of the Tianyun sword sect jumped out one by one, including the thin man, who also rolled out from behind the boulder like a lazy donkey. These people were obviously a team that had cooperated countless times. The 5 of them joined forces to form a vague sword formation, surrounding the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger. They were merciless and wanted to kill them while the anesthetic was still strong. This monster, Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose and glanced around. Sure enough, dozens of meters behind the cloud-patterned tiger, he saw a 3-inch-long exotic grass. It was green all over and had 3 folded leaves the size of a baby's palm. Inside is a bunch of fruits as red as blood, each one condensed into a ball, about the size of a thumb. The fruit is so bright and colorful that just one look at it will make you want to eat. Wang Tong and the others were full of murderous intent, waving their swords fiercely, and greeted the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger. After all, the cloud-patterned tiger is the king of beasts. Even if it is anesthetized and a huge tail sweeps, it is still invincible. Roar, that the beast king roared, and the cloud-patterned tiger climbed up from the ground, staring at the humans on the field with a pair of blood-colored eyes, and slapped the ground with its front paws, causing the earth to tremble like a drum. Such power made everyone change their expressions. Damn, you're still so energetic after being hit by anesthetic. I should have known it would have been 10 times more powerful. One of the warriors complained. What are you afraid of? Kill. Wang Tong changed from his previous simple and honest image, with murderous intent in his eyes. He raised his hands high, jumped up, and slashed with his sword. The other 4 people also immediately gathered their formation and surrounded the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger. Wang Tong took the main attack, while the other 4 people interfered, and the cooperation was flawless. Roar, seeing that these humans dared to attack him, the cloud-patterned tiger forcibly raised his spirits, raised his claws, and struck hard. The power of the king of beasts was so terrifying. If he hit it with one palm, his head would probably be broken. Wang Tong did have some abilities. He moved his body in mid-air, dodged the tiger's claws, turned around and slashed hard on the head of the cloud-patterned tiger with a sword. Clang. The edge of the long sword actually only left a white mark on the head of the cloud-patterned tiger. This beast had already built a body of copper skin and iron bones. Ling Feng did not take action directly, but stared at every move of Yun Wen, Diao Jinghu and Wang Tong. The lines in his right eye condensed, and the heavenly eye quietly opened. No, the styles of these guys are completely different. They are definitely not disciples of the same sect. Ling Feng had long been suspicious of them. As soon as they made a move, whether it was true energy, sword moves, or footwork, completely different, not like a sect disciple at all. Brother Ling Feng, aren't you going to take action? Wang Tong saw that Ling Feng had been staying out of the matter. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and he gritted his teeth and roared. Ling Feng curled his lips and slowly drew out the moonzancing sword from behind. Aha! The figure flashed, and Ling Feng's whole body was like a breeze passing by, and he saw a bright silver sword light flowing across the ground like a galaxy. The sharp sword energy was concentrated, as if it was going to penetrate the world, and stabbed out with one sword. This sword is too fast and too fierce. When Wang Tong and others saw this scene, their eyes widened with excitement. Bang! The sword energy hit the forehead of the cloud-patterned tiger, and there was an explosion. The broken star sword energy penetrated the hard skull of the cloud-patterned tiger. A little blood spurted out from the back of the tiger's head, and the blood spread all over the sky. Several feet high. The tiger man stood up, his huge pupils staring at the human who killed him. His pupils gradually became blurry, and then he threw his head back and fell heavily. Boom! With a loud bang, the ground shook, dust flew, and the cloud-patterned tiger exhaled its last breath of hot air from its nostrils. It struggled on the ground for a few times, becoming increasingly powerless, and finally unable to move. This king of beasts is completely dead. What a strong swordsmanship! Wang Tong took a deep breath, drooled heavily, looked at Ling Feng, licked his lips, and showed his greed without hiding it. The other companions were also stunned by the power of Ling Feng's sword. As the saying goes, a head of copper, bones of iron, waist of tofu. The hardest part of this cloud-patterned tiger is its skull, and Ling Feng's sword can penetrate the skull of the cloud-patterned tiger, which shows how amazing the penetrating power of this swordsmanship is. Ha! Ling Feng took a deep breath, his face pale, leaning against a big tree behind him, panting a few times, and then smiled at Wang Tong and the others. How about it, can we distribute the spoils? No, no, no. Wang Tong stretched out his right index finger and shook it gently a few times. There is still one prey, we still need to deal with it. Prey? Where is the prey? Ling Feng pretended to be surprised, shaking his head and looking around. No, there are no other monsters. Ha ha ha, this idiot. One of the warriors finally took off the mask on his face. He is about to die, but he still has no consciousness at all. No. I've said that these sect disciples are all idiots. They believe everything you say to them. Zhu Xia twisted her willow waist and walked up, giggling. Little brother, it's a pity. You are quite handsome, why are you so stupid? Okay, don't tease him. Wang Tong walked slowly to Ling Feng with the long sword. If you know what's good for you, hand over your sword and the sword manual of the sword technique just now, and also hand over the Qi condensation technique of the Wenxian sect to me, and we can spare your life. You lied to me. Ling Feng lowered his head, and no one saw that a ray of cold light flashed in his eyes. It was a cold light full of murderous intent. Please collect and vote. Chapter 29 Pentakill. The group is destroyed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boy, do you know this? You are so innocent and cute, ha 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 ha. Wang Tong laughed strangely. The few warriors next to him also surrounded him with evil intentions, with greedy eyes in their eyes. They are not disciples of Tianyun sword sect at all, but casual cultivators who wander around the great wilderness mountains to hunt monsters. Different from the disciples of the sect, the training conditions of these casual cultivators are much worse. It is not easy to see Ling Feng like this. A warrior who was alone and not very strong naturally had some evil thoughts. If they can master Wenxian sect's Qi training method, their strength can definitely be improved by several levels. What I hate the most is you sect disciples. Isn't it because you have the sect as a backer? Isn't it because you can practice more martial arts? You are all stupid. Brother, don't talk nonsense to him. First, talk to him. If he is killed, the secret book and the sword manual must be on his possession. The thin man said with resentment. Zhu Xia also narrowed her eyes and smiled so hard. Little brother, I can't blame others for being cruel. If you are wrong, blame yourself for being stupid. That while he was talking, 5 casual cultivators, carrying their own weapons, surrounded Ling Feng from all directions. In their opinion, Ling Feng had already performed a killing move with swordsmanship and was in an extremely weak state. No matter how great his original strength was, he was still at the end of his strength at this moment. Boy, do you want to cooperate with us obediently, or do you want your brothers to take action? You probably don't know yet the torture methods of our 5 Black Ridge ghosts. You will definitely not be able to survive or die. Wang Tong said in a sinister tone. He smiled, which was in sharp contrast to his honest face. Hey! Ling Feng shook his head and sighed slightly. If you guys cooperate with me obediently and give me the demon pill after killing the cloud-patterned tiger, we can live in peace. It's a pity that you can still get that heaven and earth strange fruit. Ling Feng raised his head, his eyes filled with cold murderous intent, making people shudder. It's a pity that you are not greedy enough. Greedy people usually don't end well. Ling Feng's mouth had an evil arc, as if everything was under his control. Wang Tong's heart trembled slightly, his face became a little gloomy. He forced himself to calm down, and coldly snorted, Boy, don't hold on anymore, you are already at the end of your strength. I don't believe you can still use the killing move like that just now. Second time, do you think you are still qualified to compete with us? Idiot, I originally wanted to let you live, but now you don't know how to cherish it. Damn it, what nonsense are you talking about? Get him! The thin man roared, holding a blue poison-tempered dagger, and stabbed Ling Feng fiercely. Ling Feng stood there, stretched out 2 fingers, held the blade of the dagger impartially, and when his fingers exerted force, there was a click sound, and the dagger shattered into pieces, scattered on the ground. Ha ha ha, idiot, you are really stupid and naive. The thin man laughed without being surprised. Idiot, I am not afraid to tell you that the blade of this dagger is covered with poison. As long as it touches a little bit, it will penetrate into the poison. With your little cultivation, it won't take long for your body to turn into a pool of blood. Oh, is it so? Ling Feng narrowed his eyes. As a descendant of the medical saint, this little bit of poison was just a big joke in front of him. In the midst of lightning and flint, Ling Feng stretched out his hand and grasped a dagger fragment. He shot it with a snap of his fingers, and the fragment instantly pierced the thin man's throat. Ha ha ha! The laughter stopped suddenly, and the thin man's body twitched violently, then raised his head and fell down. Die. The third child. The eyelids of Wang Tong and others twitched suddenly. They looked at Ling Feng and then at the body that gradually became still on the ground. Their eyes were about to burst, and their pupils were bloodshot. They stared hard at Ling Feng. Ling Feng, how is it possible? How is it possible? That's the rotten blood poison that we spent hundreds of crystal coins to buy in Xuanwu City. Even if he has the physique of a second-level peak monster, if he is contaminated with this kind of poison, he can't be unscathed like him, right? Xianxia and the remaining 2 casual cultivators were all stunned. That kind of poison could be said to have been tried and tested many times, but it failed on this kid? Humph, it's your turn too. Ling Feng had a stern look on his face, and his whole aura changed, and an astonishing edge of energy shot straight into the sky. Asshole, you are just a small 5th-level Qi condensation realm, come on. Come on together, I don't believe he can defeat us together. Wang Tong roared, brandishing his long sword, and struck hard at the first one. Cut through, the other casual cultivators also shouted loudly and emboldened themselves, go to hell. Snort. Ling Feng stepped forward with a quick light step, and his figure seemed to be like a flowing cloud of light, elusive, one shadow divided into 3 parts, as if it had 3 heads and 6 arms, draw your sword. The bright sword light flashed like a galactic horse, an antelope hung its horns, and flashed by with a little starlight. Laugh, that this is the sound of blood spurting out from the neck. What a fast sword, this was the last thought in the minds of the 3 people living there, and their eyes widened, full of disbelief. Then, I saw the bodies of Xianxia and the other 2 casual cultivators suddenly stiffened, and then they fell straight down. 2nd child, 5th child, 4th sister. Wang Tong trembled all over, feeling fearful, angry, and more regretful. No. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Wang Tong's legs weakened and he collapsed on the ground with a plop, and an unpleasant smell spread out. This Wang Tong was so frightened that he peed his pants. Don't worry, my sword is very fast. Ling Feng's eyes flashed with cold murderous intent, a slight smile on his face, and his voice was gentle, like a kind-hearted Buddha. Ah, the next moment, screams rang out, frightening all the birds within 100 feet. It is your own fault and you will not live. Ling Feng shook off the blood on the tip of his sword, with a calm expression on his face, as he glanced at the 5 corpses on the ground, without any fluctuation in his heart. Maybe it was because he was so numb when he opened the eyes of the emperor for the first time, or maybe as a doctor, he has seen too many life and death partings, he had absolutely no sympathy for the damned ones. After carefully searching all the corpses on the ground and putting away all the space bags and other items, Ling Feng did not carefully count the harvest, but walked to the strange fruit of heaven and earth. It turns out to be Tianyang red blood fruit, and it is a mature Tianyang red blood fruit. A smile appeared on Ling Feng's lips. He had some doubts when he saw it from a distance, but now he finally confirmed that this was the Tianyang red blood fruit. It's a good thing, but it's a pity that there is no box made by when you to store this treasure. Ling Feng frowned slightly. Wang Tong and others did not know the treasure, so they only brought some ordinary wooden boxes. Once the Tianyang red blood fruit is picked, unless it is placed in a jade box, the medicinal effect will be lost quickly. Forget it, we can only take it as soon as possible. Ling Feng took a deep breath, uprooted the Tianyang red blood fruit, and immediately jumped to find a hiding place nearby. Please collect it, please vote. Chapter 36 Stage of Qi Condensation. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Not long after, Ling Feng found a huge cave not far away. Judging from the smell, it should be the lair of the cloud-patterned eye-catching tiger. The lair is filled with bones of various beasts, even human bones. Obviously, these should be the guys who have had an idea of the Yangqi blood fruit that day. With a wave of sword energy, a clearing was cleared. Ling Feng sat cross-legged and took out the Tianyang red blood fruit from his arms. Without too much hesitation, he opened his mouth and swallowed the fruit into his belly. The red blood fruit melted in his mouth. As soon as it entered his mouth, it turned into juice and flowed down his throat into his stomach. So hot. Ling Feng's first feeling was that his body seemed to be roasted by fierce flames. That was the Tianyang spiritual power contained in the Tianyang red blood fruit. Swallowing this fruit could increase one's true energy and make one's true energy surge. The qi naturally carries a hint of the heat and dominance of the flames. He was sweating profusely, and after a while, Ling Feng's skin turned red like a steamed crab. A trace of heat rose up from his pores, and when it met the air, it condensed into clouds of white mist, curling up. The juice of the red blood fruit in the body is like rolling lava, flowing between the internal organs and wreaking havoc. Ling Feng gritted his teeth and felt as if there was a flame burning in his body, burning more and more fiercely, as if he was burning into a ball of ashes from the inside out. In this situation, most people would probably lose their consciousness for a long time, but Ling Feng endured this heat and activated the method of asking immortal qi refining technique to gradually absorb the extremely pure spiritual energy in the red blood fruit. Absorb and refine. The Tianyang red blood fruit is a strange fruit that is extremely strong and extremely young. The heat contained in it cannot be refined by a small qi condensation realm warrior. Generally speaking, it requires the combination of several neutralizing medicinal properties. The auxiliary medicine must be refined into Tianyang Dan before it can be swallowed. As for Ling Feng being so reckless and swallowing it directly, it was thanks to his special physique that if he were an ordinary person, his brain would have been burned out long ago. Gradually, Ling Feng got used to the hot and domineering energy, and the speed of refining the medicine became faster and faster. The true energy in the body increased rapidly. His meridians also became stronger under the impact of the heat of the red blood fruit. I don't know how long it took, but Ling Feng opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. Sixth stage of qi condensation. A ray of light burst out from Ling Feng's eyes. He had just been promoted to the fifth stage of qi condensation. Even if he opened his human eyes to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and cooperated with the qi-increasing pill sent to him by his master, it stands to reason that it would take 10 days and a half to continue to break through. This red blood fruit not only directly improved his cultivation by one level, but also made his true energy, with the burning heat of fire, and the power of sword energy, naturally reach a higher level. Damn it! Damn it! Where did this little bastard go? Xiao Qingfeng killed a monster beast with one sword, his eyes flashing with terrible killing intent. It's been 5 whole days. Xiao Qingfeng has been searching for 5 days on the outskirts of the great wilderness mountains, but still has no trace of Ling Feng, which makes him a little impatient. Senior brother Xiao, isn't that boy going to an area where second-level high-level monsters are infested? The red-haired man in front suddenly said. How is it possible? That boy has no strength. He is only at the 4th level of qi condensation. How dare he go? Xiao Qingfeng snorted coldly. Senior brother Xiao, have you forgotten that that boy even killed Qingfeng? The red-haired man added. Fuck you, that kid just took advantage of Qingfeng's lack of attention to attack Qingfeng, and that's how he succeeded. Xiao Qingfeng glared at the red-haired man and kicked him directly on the butt. If Qingfeng hadn't been careless, could he have killed Qingfeng? With that said, Xiao Qingfeng put his sword into its sheath, turned his nostrils to the sky, and snorted coldly. But we don't rule out the possibility that that kid is self-righteous and goes deeper. The corners of the mouths of the red-haired man and the inner disciples nearby twitched a few times, but they did not dare to let Xiao Qingfeng fail to get off the stage. Someone immediately echoed, Senior brother Zhao's analysis is so reasonable, let's set off now. Let's go. Xiao Qingfeng's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he secretly swore in his heart that once he found Ling Feng, he would be crushed to ashes in order to eliminate the hatred in his heart. The group of people ran extremely fast. In the past few days, they had searched hard outside the great wilderness mountains for a long time, but could not find any clues. However, there is only one entrance to the Dahuang Mountains from Jiuxian Mountain. As long as Ling Feng enters the Dahuang Mountains from this entrance, he will definitely follow the route opened by his predecessors, there is no doubt about this. Soon, Xiao Qingfeng and others found some signs of fighting. They followed the clues and found a battlefield. 2 days have passed since Ling Feng killed the 5 Wang Tong people. Since the aura of the cloud pattern eye-catching tiger has not dissipated, the corpses on the ground have not been picked up by any wild beasts or monsters, but are just covered with some maggots. The entire battlefield was filled with the smell of corpses. These people should have died just a few days ago. The red-haired man walking at the front squatted down, examined the wounds on the corpses, and said slowly, "They should have died from the shattering star sword art of Wexian sect. Little bastard, you can't run away this time." Xiao Qingfeng's eyes burst out with murderous intent, "Look for me nearby. When you find him, notify me as soon as possible. I will crush him to ashes with my own hands." "Yes." The disciples responded, their figures flashed, and they spread out around this place, looking for traces of Ling Feng. At the same time, Ling Feng was in the lair of the cloud-patterned tiger, unaware that the crisis was approaching. It took him 2 days to fully absorb the medicinal power of the Yangqi blood fruit that day, and his cultivation level stabilized at the peak of the 6th stage of qi condensation. He was basically just short of the final kick before he could break through again. After stretching, Ling Feng stood up slowly and touched his belly. After 2 days, he was already feeling hungry. After all, qi condensation realm warriors are still mortal bodies, far from reaching the level of not being able to eat the fireworks of the world. "It's time to go out." Ling Feng walked out of the cave, preparing to eat some game to satisfy his hunger. "Stop!" Suddenly, a sharp shout came from the side. Ling Feng turned around and looked. It was a man wearing the clothes of an inner disciple of the Wenxian sect. He had red hair that stood upright, just like a hedgehog. "You must be Ling Feng." The red-haired man rushed in front of Ling Feng, with a sneer on his face, and stared at Ling Feng with a pair of gloomy and sharp eyes, like an eagle sizing up its prey. Ling Feng frowned slightly, glanced at the red-haired man, and said coldly, "Is something wrong?" "Sure enough, it's you." The red-haired man's eyes narrowed, then he burst into laughter, took out a loud arrow from his arms, and shot it into the air. "A cloud-piercing arrow, senior brother Qinggang, come see me quickly," the red-haired man roared, and the sounding arrow rose into the air, flashing a bright light in mid-air. This was the signal agreed between the red-haired man and Xiao Qingfeng and the others, rolling, asking for favorites, and asking for recommendation votes.